What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Quinn. So let me stop that sentence. I've just come to the realization, and I feel like I might say this every video, but like consciously, I'm doing something about it now. When I first started, I guess, saying that phrase as my introduction, I did it like it's so overdone by like any random YouTuber that I thought it would be like funny and on the nose if I were to use that as my intro. And like very like subconsciously I've just become like any random YouTuber. That's so not funny. Yeah, let me workshop a couple new intros, and then maybe in the next couple podcasts, implying there are more podcasts, we can test them out. How are you? How was your week? My week has been great. I decided to help my grandma with some gardening. I guess she wanted some flower beds. Whether you know me or have looked at me, physical labor is something that I'm not inherently capable of. However, ask and you shall receive. It was actually a couple days ago. It was the hottest day of the year. Hottest day of the year. So I go over to her house and I start shifting some stuff in the backyard, and we went to the, I don't know, what do you call a place that sells gardening tools and equipment? The garden center? This just shows how out of sync I am. We went to the garden shop, to the dirt store. We got a pile of dirt, and I burnt my hands. I guess they just have bags of dirt laying in the sun outside of like the air-conditioned store, which is really interesting. So I guess the bag had like black labels on it, and when I like went to grab the bag to move it into the car, I burnt my hands on the plastic. Very rude. Immediately, like as soon as I started, I knew that day was an omen. It was a cursed day. It was very cursed. We moved back into my grandma's backyard. She lives in a nice like suburban area. There's not a lot of like I don't know, like forests. She has like a couple trees in her backyard, which is where the garden beds were. So we brought the dirt to the garden beds. I opened them out. Do the gardening. I do the gardening. By the time I'm done, apparently those two trees in my grandmother's backyard housed the entire population of mosquitoes in Ontario. Because I wish this wasn't a podcast, because then I could show you my legs are less cylindrical and perhaps shaped like maggot-esque. There's like lots of divots and a general oval shape to them. I can laugh about it now, but that day I was not happy. But my grandma was, which was nice to see. I love that for her. Okay, I diverged from the topics of today. I don't even know why I brought that up. First thing, right off the bat, I have to just come out and say it. And there really isn't any relation, but I wrote down on the list of things I needed to cover. And this, I guess, was the first thing I wrote, implying it's the most pressing matter at hand. I'm in love with the hog emoji. I think everything... I'm a designer. It's so gross to say. I'm a designer. I like to think a general sense of, like a visual... I'm not even speaking English. How are people gonna like trust that I like to think that I know what looks good and what doesn't. A sentence. The hog emoji. I think I'm gonna make that like the thumbnail, so that if there's any visual aid from this podcast episode, it will be this beautiful creation. Beautiful creature. The hog emoji is just like a default preset that comes on any iPhone with iOS 12,000 plus or whatever it's at now. This collection of pixels is so pleasing to the retinas. I send it all the time. If you have me as a contact in your phone, you also have hog me emoji as a contact in your phone. Given fact. I don't want to dwindle on this for too long. I'm sure no one cares. But if you're ever having a bad day and just want to quick pick me up, hog me emoji. I'll send it to you. It's free. I'll send it. Hog me emoji. Especially the crying one. The hog me emoji crying when he's sad, doing a little pout, and he has a tear coming out. Ooh, bars. Anyways, hug emoji. Okay, now let's get into the beef of the podcast, which I so dearly despise. I guess I talked about me being a designer. I got a couple DMs about, people that heard my first podcast and gave me some feedback. A lot of people, I guess, didn't know what I was doing, like, professionally for the past year plus. So, yeah, I can delve into that a little more here. So, specifically, I guess over the past year, I've probably had 20 job titles. Being in a startup, whether that's, like, any position in a startup, you have to wear multiple hats. And I know this is like formal businessy, so I'm gonna try and condense this down to like as short as possible, and then I'll go back to screaming. I guess if you were to put an official title on my work experience, it would be a UX designer, which stands for user experience. Yes, the acronym is UX, and experience starts with an E. We don't have to get mad about it. As a UX designer, let me make this something maybe familiar if you have no experience in design or anything tech. If you've ever used anything and you've hated using it, I'm trying to think what would be a good example of that. Doors. I hate doors. Doors in general. I think we should live in a doorless world. More specifically, or more commonly known, if you've approached a door that just has like a metal handle, this is like a staple in the realm of UX. If you approach a door with a metal handle, you walk up to it, boom, you're dead. You walk up to it, just picture a door and you don't know whether you push or pull. Sometimes it has it indicated, sometimes it doesn't. Regardless, humans are very, stupid. Anything you use should have a clear design that kind of points towards its function. So when you see the doors with the two metal things on it and you don't know which axis it's going to swing, ideally, have a handle like that protrudes, perhaps some iconography on it implying, put your hands here, or as I have just proposed, no door at all. Leave it open. So, that's what I do in UX. Companies will want to have a product that people will want to use, and I make it so that it's easier to use. I hope that's what I did. I don't know. For the past year, like I said, I was working for a biotech startup, and I was doing a bunch of different things everywhere for that. And now that quarantine's hit and I am not working with the startup anymore, and I've been kind of deciding what my future is going to look like, I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with UX design. However, in the design field, I think all things are really relative. I think I mentioned last episode that I was interested in going to the games category or games media. But I don't want to spell too much on that because I know that potential employers will look at this and I'll lose all my leads right now, which would be horrendous. I've been a designer, I want to say, a long time. I can't really pinpoint a specific time where I wasn't creative. Although I can narrow down to a T exactly when I decided that I couldn't be a traditional artist, like a concept artist or a visual artist, and I needed to move more into the design field. And it's actually traumatic. This experience was horrible. When I was in high school, when Quentin was in high school, he was really interested he was really interested in visual art. I guess elementary school and before, like I was always sketching, always drawing, always making comics. Like I was in love with the whole thing. Visual art was my shit. Or so I thought. So in grade 9, all my electives, like art, visual art, just list the same thing twice to make it seem like it was more animation, painting, sketching. Like every elective for my entire high school career was devoted for arts. Much to think about. At the high school I was at, there was one art teacher, and I met her in grade 9, and we had a really interesting relationship. I'm saying we. They. Because it's Quentin, and I'm Quinn. Period. They had a really interesting relationship. In high school, I was a little unique. And I say unique as if I haven't spent 4+ years disassociating completely from that period in my life. But what I can say about Quentin was that he tried his hardest. And he was nice. Sure. Yeah, he was nice. The art teacher at the school was not. She was an ogre. Goodness gracious. Grade 9. Went to high school. Went to art class. Had the, general grade 9 art elective with this teacher. Grade 10, 11, and 12. All with this teacher. Every time I would submit an assignment, I would get peer evaluations from everyone in my class, and they would be like, oh, that's really good, or, oh, like, tweak this. Like, I would get feedback on my art pieces before I submitted them. I would submit them to the art teacher. I would get my 60 back and rinse and repeat. Like, I don't know why at any given point I didn't call her out on this. And every time I asked for the feedback, I think I just ended up, like, I don't even remember what specifically the feedback was. However, if you were a student in high school and you devoted so much time, and I have the art, I have the receipts. The art isn't good, no. But when a child's working this hard, you don't give them 60 after 60 after 60. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. Grade 12 rolls around. Visual artist Quentin wants to be an animator at Sheridan College, where he can draw endless amounts of frames for a 22-minute animated sitcom on Disney XD. Grade 12, art, I don't know what art class I was taking, but during the first semester, before the end of it, I think you have to apply to universities or colleges. So I approached my art teacher and I said, hi, like, I'm all set to go. Like, I would really appreciate if you would, like, guide me through this, like, process of applying to my dreams that you have mentored and coached and sculpted me for 4 years. This lady says to my face, I'm not over this. 4 years of high school education. She says, you don't cut it. I'm there with, like, all of my paintings and stuff. And she's like, I'm not going to give you, like, a grade good enough to get into these art schools. Regardless of your feelings, again, disclaimer, like, 4 years, at no point was she ever like, maybe this isn't for you. And to be fair, all these years later, I consider myself an artist. I'm in a design field. I'm looking back at my old work, and yeah, it wasn't great, but, like, was there potential? I guess there was. Anyways, so at that point, grade 12, like, end of first semester, this lady says to me, sorry, So, because my entire future crumbled around me in that moment, I ended up having to take another whole year of high school, which I wasn't in love with. I decided to try a random elective, which was computer science, something I've never done before, and I started grade 12 plus first semester. I ended up doing okay, or well enough to get into Carleton for computer science, and then after 2 years of that, I decided I wanted to do something design, back to my roots, switch programs, here I am. Anyways, all that is to say, that is the specific moment where I remember that I think that was one of the biggest doors that, closed in my face. Did I get past the door? Yes. Did it take, 4+ years to, kick, scream, punch, burn it to the ground? Yup. I'm trying to make, a moral of the story out of this, but maybe, I don't know. I don't know what I could have done different. Blackmailed her? I don't know. Going along the timeline, high school, 12 plus, computer science at Carleton, and then this current program I'm in called IMD, which is an acronym for Interactive Multimedia and Design. The acronym is nearly as bad as the program. And just to preface, if anyone from my school is listening to this, I love this program. I love this program so much. It is so good. Feel free to exit the video now. This program is a joke. When I was in computer science and I wanted to do something more design-oriented, I heard about this program. Design's in the name. I'm dropping everything. I'm getting too excited. I wanted to do something more creative. Computer science was very technical, and this program was a 50-50 combination, because there is still computer science in what I'm doing now, IMD at Carleton. However, there's a design aspect to it. It's actually very design oriented. There's a lot of drawing, painting, graphic design. It's like a grab bag of everything. Does that sound like an issue? Wasn't to me at the time. Now it kind of is. It's very generalist. There's no way to specify which stream you really want to go into. So our program's notorious for having a bunch of people that get denied at, every job, because companies want people that know something opposed to know a little bit of everything. So IMD at the time was appealing because, it seemed like the best of both worlds. And now, well, that is, let me not trash the program, actually. The program I'm in now has taught me a lot of different skills, design, coding. I have learned things. Are the professors terrible? Yup. Is there some really sketchy, shady business going around? And do the people at the executive level of this program not give a shit about anyone that's, experiencing it? No comment for legal purposes. I'm conflicted because there are things that are of value in this program, and there are things that I really wish I could change. A lot of people in my life don't really know about what I'm doing educationally or career-wise, so I think that kind of puts you at a good perspective of where I'm at right now. I am in a transitional period of deciding if I want to drop school and go for my career, or if I want to keep doing school and spend a lot of money. Also, the people in my program, let's not get started, but I'm kind of at a crossroads very much right now in my life. And I guess in these moments, I'm starting to see the value of a podcast, because I really just be saying what's on my mind. It's kind of nice. But yeah, if you have any suggestions of how to navigate two really compelling options, I've been grappling with this since the start of the pandemic, deciding if I do want to go back to school, get started on this career. I don't know, if you've dropped out or if you've stayed in your program and regretted it, I'd love to hear from you. So feel free to leave a comment down below or reach me on my socials. Yeah, okay. So I think that's all that I really wanted to bring up for this episode. It's a little bit of a shorter one. I think next episode I'll try and make it a little more informative. This was very much just story time thing. And if you're into that, leave a like. Actually, if you're into any podcasts, leave a like. No, but I do appreciate when people listen to my, or consume my content and let me know what they thought of it, because on one hand, I love making content and I love trying to make people have a good time, or at least be, you know, a little interesting, especially in a world that is interesting in all the wrong ways. However, if you think I'm worthless and should stop making content, I also want to hear that from you. Either way, let me know. And I will be back in the next episode. And I'm not sure what I want to talk about, just as like an indication that you should maybe click on the next thumbnail after whenever this one gets uploaded. I think it might be about my time on like game shows, because I was on Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader and Splat a lot. So a lot of people don't know that about me, despite it being like the first thing that comes out of my mouth whenever I want to impress someone. So if you want to, you know, listen, stay tuned, follow the journey, feel free to subscribe, give it a like, and I'll be sure to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye, baby.